people today that journalism in Nigeria lost one of its leading lights at that time. It's exactly 31 years ago today that Delegiwa, one of the trio that established the trailblazing Newswatch magazine, Nigeria's print journalism pride then, was cut down when a passive bomb that was addressed to him exploded in his face right in his living room in Ikeja. Till date, there are no official reports as to who was responsible, even though fingers were pointed in the direction of the military government at that time. But officially, it's recorded as an unsolved murder. And of course, if you are a student of history and you want to get more on all of that, of course, you can get cracking. I'm sure you'll get more sufficient materials, especially on the one-man crusade mounted by fiery Lagos lawyer Chief Ganifa Wemi of blessed memory, who, as a friend and lawyer to the late editor, mounted a lot of court cases and all of that. But back to now, our attention shifts from the economy to something that is equally topical in the polity and has actually portrayed the Nigerian Army in a bad light. I'm so sorry. Yeah, what started since last year as a corporate social responsibility by the military and has been well accepted by the civil populace has actually recorded a huge success, has now become an albatross. No thanks to the antics of some desperate evil people who have put a devilish spin on a scheme designed with the common man as beneficiary. It's the medical outreach of the Nigerian military, which has always been a component of all its military operations in different parts of the country, long before now. Recently, from Operation Lafia Dole to Operation Safe Haven, Operation Crocodile Smile 1, and now Operation Crocodile Smile 2, currently ongoing in the south-south region of the country, Operation Python Dance 1 and Operation Python Dance 2, which just ended in the southeast. In all of these military operations, the medical outreach program had always been a component and had always recorded huge successes. In fact, the exercise, which was part of the much criticized Operation Python Dance 2, had flagged off successfully on September 18 with the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuko Buratai, in attendance, and of course had recorded huge successes in Abakaliki in Ebonyi State and of course in Isukwato local government area of Abia State before the sudden rumor began that the exercise was aimed at depopulating some sections of the country.
Sorry, sir. All right, sir.
And you have the crowd under the tent.
Major go.
I'm happy with their activities of today. They tested they did the test. We went to their lab there. They run some lab tests for us, and they gave us drugs and mosquito nets. They have really tried by coming here because many of us, because of this reception of a thing, we could not go to hospital. Like many of us today, we have the opportunity to see doctors and our children today, so we are very happy. Thank you.
They have already treating us well. They are doing us well. We used to, when our child we used to take it. They were giving us medicine. They will treat us. We are okay for you. I'm feeling better. I'm not praying for any treatment.
But this morning you are coming with syringes, you are coming with packets of drugs, you are coming with all manners of medication to attend to the health needs of our people. It therefore defines more your intentions of preserving and protecting life. It is not only with a gun that life can be protected and preserved. With Medicare, especially when it is free, as we are made to know, the people, both the poor and the rich, will have access to the things that will keep them healthy to enjoy life.
Now, that was when that exercise flagged off in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. And so it got off to a successful start in Ozobulu, Anambra State, as I was saying, before it ran into a hitch as these evil rumors spread like wildfire. Rumors spread very fast in Nigeria. And with the air already pregnant and polluted, it was no surprise, therefore, that the exercise could not take off successfully when the Operation Crocodile Smile 2 flagged off in the South states earlier this week. But as I said, this rumor seems to have truncated an otherwise laudable program. As the controversy persists, questions are being raised as to the intentions of this medical outreach. If the people who ought to know are raising questions, I mean, what is driving it and what is this all about? Has the military effectively communicated its intentions to the people before now? What could be responsible for this sudden damaging rumor, and how is the military dealing with this situation? The Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman, and the acting Commandant of the Army Medical Corps, Brigadier General Clifford Wanda, will both be joining me shortly as we look at this situation, and that will be after this short break.
Eagerly waiting to pick up their
There is a rumor that the soldiers are going to schools to go and vaccinate people by force. I said, what sort of rumor is this? That I should look through the window. I will see that there is pandemonium everywhere. So I turned my back. I didn't see any pandemonium. Nothing was happening. I just took my phone, I called my security and I said, please lock the gates, the 2 gates for me. And don't allow any parents. And they said that parents are coming to bring that, take their children. I said, no. No parent will take any child. One, because I know that it's not possible for any soldier to come in and hold another person's child and begin to inoculate. For what authority? Ordinarily here, we don't even allow inoculation. You must get clearance from the school, urban there, and you must get clearance from the parents themselves. Otherwise, if anything happens to any child, you stand in. So I said nobody will try it. I locked my gates, but I know that some parents that cunningly have entered the school and they sneaked in to come and take them to the church. When I went down, I saw some parents here, so I just lured them out and locked the inner gate. And then let's teachers here. Before I could take the profession, all my male teachers were out there. That's how we do it. Urban is just not any school. It's not like other schools. Are you getting me? Before I dismiss the students, I must get clearance from the management there. Because I'm working for people here. It's not a government school where, or public school where you do anything. So because I have not gotten clearance, I called them and said, no, nothing is happening. So I held my school.
Everywhere is calm. As you saw by yourself, the teachers are teaching, students are learning. And we are doing our far first, and we don't want anything to disrupt it. If we had given in to the parents' agitation, the information would have been that the army even came to Havana, and in fact Havana has dismissed. And this is the measure we took to dampen the tempo that is already high in the atmosphere.
They are still complaining, asking the school authority.
Right, if you are just joining us, or if you have been with us, you would have seen the first part, how the exercise started to flagged off to a very good start, and of course, the one you just saw now were scenes recorded from different parts of the southeast after that rumor began. And I have joining me in the studio Brigadier General Clifford Wanda, who is the acting commandant, Army Medical Corps. General, good to see you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We also have yet another general here on the platform. Brigadier General Sani Usman is Director, Army Public Relations. General, good to see you too.
Thank you so much.
All right, let me start with the commandant of the Army Medical Corps. Let me take a clip from what the Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State said there when the exercise flagged off in Ebonyi State with the Chief of Army Staff, of course, present. He said, it's not only with gun that you can protect the citizens. Let's pick it from there. Is that what the medical outreach that has always been a component of military operations? Is that what it's all about?
Yes, medical outreaches, is always part of military exercises and operation, because we believe protecting life is also part of security. So apart from the protection of life that we have when we defend the country, when we go out when we do our exercises, we also incorporate medical outreaches so that we can treat those that are sick and also ensure that their health is paramount, even to the Army and to the Chief of Army Staff. Apart from the physical use of military hardwares to protect, we also use drugs and things like that to also ensure that the health of the community is maintained.
It's a kind of carrot and stick situation here. Stick for the bad boys and carrot for the good ones.
Yes, couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it better than that. Exactly. So that those that are the bad ones, they'll be sanctioned, but the good ones that come that are sick will always be treated. That is what we do.
General, perhaps the problem here is perhaps two things. One, an absence of effective communication of all of these before each of those exercises started. And the second one will of course be the fact that the southeast, where this all began, have been a fertile ground for this kind of thing to happen because of the long face off between the government and the members of the IPOB. But let's come back to the first one. Don't you think, or why is it difficult for the military to embark on a long sensitization and mobilization of the citizenry before these operations are launched?
Well, I think, let me correct an impression here, because a lot has been done, especially as regards to, humanitarian activities, field training exercises and operations. Given the fact that whenever you are embarking on such exercises, given the fact that at the detriment sometimes taking into consideration operational secrecy, you still have to take into cognizance the corporate social responsibility which comes into humanitarian assistance, and the interventions varies. Sometimes it could be medical outreaches, sometimes it could be intervention in terms of social infrastructures. Take for instance, provision of boreholes, provision of school training aids and what have you. In this instance, let's take the medical outreaches that has taken place. Now there was enough sensitization to the point that all the stakeholders are carried along, are involved, talking about community leaders, talking about government and government agencies, and of course the media. And that is why I'm so happy and glad that the clips you have shown were not manufactured. It was recorded by the media independently. So what happened is so sad and unfortunate that somebody somewhere, a very mischievous element, will come up and concoct lies in rumors to the point that people were running helter-skelter. And unfortunately, the funniest part of it, with great sense of responsibility anyway, that some of the communities, even they ran in arrears. in areas, take for instance, we have had medical outreach in Imbise local government area in Imo State on the 5th of October. And yet, 2 or 3 days ago, you had people running away, I mean, in areas. So why should you run from something that in the first place, that is non-existence? So when you are talking about sensitization, you should look at this issue in proper perspective. And our procedures are quite clear. Medical outreaches are done at a specific place, time that is made manifest through publicity. You know, press conferences, press invitations, and of course government and other stakeholders are always there.
Is it possible to separate these corporate social responsibilities from strictly military operations that are aimed at deterrence, for instance? Because it's like the way the populace, maybe of late, in certain parts of the country, the way they perceive the military is that the military is nothing but an army of occupation. Anytime they are coming, they live in their trail, blood, tears, and sorrow. If that is the perception of the public, anytime you carry such an operation to them, why do you have to wrap a component of the operation that is so beneficial and civil in all content? Why do you have to wrap it in something that may not appear appealing to the people?
Well, I don't know the kind of...
Or is it to also, I don't know, dress up a military operation in that, in something that is attractive?
I don't know the unit of measurement you use in coming to this conclusion. In real
it's not my conclusion. I'm saying that perception.
And that is why the perception, you have to use a particular means of measurement to measure that perception. And if you are measuring perception, I will still refer back to the video clip that we have just watched, which is one out of several, I'm sure, because your correspondent is usually there, and possibly other media houses too. You look at a whole deputy governor, you've seen the traditional rulers and everybody else. If the components of the society is properly represented there. Now, whose perception are you talking about? Just last week, we were in Takwabe. We carried out similar exercise. You need to be there to see the response of the public.
Takwabe is Lagos.
Lagos, an island. And I know that they have carried out similar medical outreaches in Bayelsa and so many other places. And thankfully, we have a medical doctor here who will even tell you the procedure about vaccination. Even when we have had instances where there was vaccination, there was need for it. But all our medical outreaches that we have had in the southeastern part of the country, there was no vaccination at all. And in any case, to even an average layman, you don't vaccinate with an injection. I hope you understand. So that is why the issue of perception comes about. That a group of people, some mischievous element, decided to sit down and concoct rumors and spread it around. And even where they were even saying that they have seen soldiers going to school, up to now there is no single individual that has seen the particular school where such soldiers went. It was just a figment of somebody's imagination who wanted to cause catastrophe among the Nigerian society. That is so wicked and inhuman, because you look at the consequences of it. You know, school children scampering, and of course, it's understandable on the part of the parents, but let us also be responsible enough to understand the context of all these things. So the general perception, I must tell you, is wonderful, because just like I said, even yesterday, a first-class traditional ruler went to pay courtesy call on the general officer commanding 82 Division. And what was the content of his talk? Yeah. He was thanking him and thanking the military, thanking the Nigerian Army for the wonderful job. And I can tell you right now, in 6th Division, most of which is part of River State and some part of Bayelsa State, the communities are just yearning and, you know, eager
to have their
own medical outreach in their respective communities. This is it. So whose perception are you talking about? So invariably, we should not give in to mischief makers. We should always investigate thoroughly whenever anybody comes up. Thankfully, the security agencies are working around the globe. Definitely any moment from now, the person behind this mischief will soon be apprehended.
General, wonder, when those medical outreaches happen, do you usually consult with the civil authorities in areas where you want to hold such outreaches? I ask this question for a purpose. One, in the one that took place in Ebonyi State, we saw that the deputy governor was actually present when the chief of army staff came to flag it off. But we also know that in some of the states where this exercise was supposed to start this way, in Rivers, for instance, a statement issued by the Rivers State government will appear as if the government was opposed to it, because the government was actually telling people not to allow their children to be vaccinated, is not aware of any medical outreach and all kind of things.
Thank you again. As even before now, as he said, the part of this is just question of mischief and trying to discredit what the army and the medical corps is doing generally. Usually before a medical outreach takes place anywhere, there's a process. The first thing is that you are going to recce the place you want to have the medical outreach.
Can you just explain that in the civil?
Yes, reconnaissance. You go.
In civilians,
yes, what that simply means is that you go there to survey the place. Yes, you liaise with the community there. You talk to them, the youth leaders there, the town union, the civil authorities there. You liaise with them. You know, sometimes they even assist in setting up canopies and doing some other job or clearing the place. You know, so that by the time you come there, everybody is well informed. You know, the press too is there. They are informed before medical outreach will take place. And then after going there, making the recce, doing those liaisons that you have done, you now go ahead to make your further plans. You get your drugs, get the professionals involved. Even sometimes, not only the military. You have sometimes we incorporate other specialists from elsewhere, even civil specialists that work with us. And even going beyond medical outreaches. I'm sure you must have known that even in some of our hospitals, we see people attend, civilians. Most of our hospitals are attended by over 60 to 70% civilians. And during civil unrest and strikes, our hospitals treat over 90% civilians. You know, these are specialists. And in the Army, the medical corps has a range of specialists, all categories of specialists in the medical, from doctors to nurses to lab scientists, people who are just specialists in their own areas. So they will always know what to do.
In the case of Rivers State,
yes.
Ondo State, which other states also fell, and Delta, were all of this done? Were there these consultations?
We cannot do. It's not possible for any medical. It's not possible for any medical outreach to take place without the information going place. You know, without getting the appropriate approval from the necessary authorities. So anybody who comes out to say something otherwise is just a mischief maker, just trying to discredit what the chief of army staff is doing. Because again, don't forget, some of these things cost a lot of money. Medical treatment costs a lot of money. The chief of army staff has invested so much. And where it is not done, it is the community that actually loses out. Because anywhere we have this medical outreach, you find out that so many people, we are usually overwhelmed. They want us to come back. They want us to come back because they are getting free medical treatment from professionals.
Okay. And it's voluntary? Nothing is compulsory?
No, it's not compulsory. It's not, nobody is compulsory.
Do you do vaccination during such medical outreaches, like mass vaccination?
No, there's no. Medical outreach goes beyond vaccination. Vaccination
because
is just a part of.
The rumor that you need to respond to is that you are out there vaccinating people with a special injection. That
how can that?
How can even outbreak of monkeypox?
It's just rumor and mischief. How can people like professionals like us who have taken the Hippocratic oath, the physician's oath, to go and be vaccinating people with something that is unorthodox? It's pretty prosperous. It's something that is terrible. It's just mischief, and we know that. We know that. Nobody will do that. Remember, even the medical man is banned both by the military law and the medical ethics. There's no how a medical person will go around giving something that is unorthodox. It's not possible.
General Usman, there is this suggestion too by some people as well that the army is ordinarily not called out on medical outreach except when there is natural disaster and all of that, and it is the state that will call for help, and that this one that you are doing on your own is like Greek gift. This is the time to look at the at all of this so critically.
Well, everybody is entitled to his own opinion, but the truth is constant. The truth is that the Nigerian Army is a responsible institution who has a very long history of doing tremendously well professionally and in the defense of the territorial integrity of this country, and also coming in aid of civil authority. Good thing, the vision of the Chief of Army Staff is to have a responsible, a professionally responsible Nigerian Army in the discharge of its constitutional roles. The import of that, look at the issue of professionalism, look at the issue of responsiveness. Now, it is part of responsiveness to be, to be responsive to issues and things that are being done. Take, for instance, the issue of field training exercises. Last year, we have had all these exercises in all the geopolitical zones of the country. There was no hassle, there was no cries whatsoever. But this time around, because of some vested interests, some mischievous elements in society, they brought about this issue. And that is why the part of the responsiveness is that when we have had the field training exercises last year, the responses we got from the public, and in fact among our troops, because it enhances their professional efficiency, that there became the need for, exercise Harbin Kunama, to exercise Crocodile Smile, exercise Python Dance, which because of the yearning of the people, they say, look, why should we be having field training exercises? You will not have the nickname, associated with the community. And that is why exercise Python Dance was changed to exercise Yagweke 2. It's part of the responsiveness. So for anybody to say that we are having great gifts, I think it borders on mischief. And we have been doing it elsewhere, beyond just medical outreach. When we were giving school books, when we were, sinking boreholes, nobody thought about that.
And those were corporate social responsibility.
Exactly. And even when we had this medical outreach in Ebonyi State, there wasn't any hue and cry.
I saw pictures of soldiers cleaning.
Exactly. That is
backing on
exactly. They have done it in Ikorodu, 149 battalion, and of course 16 brigade, to the point that the brigade commander was there. It's part of it. So why won't they look at all this? For goodness sake, we are all Nigerians. We are equal stakeholders. We know where the problems of any given society comes about. So beyond sacrificing your life, it's always good to give. And that is what we are giving to the society, be it sanitation, be it medical outreach, intervention in infrastructures, or even education. Take, for instance, what we had, now the open school system in Goza is being run by the military. Possibly you are hearing it for the first time. The open school, Boko Haram has totally destroyed the educational system wherever they have been. Now you have a number of school children whose schools were destroyed. You have them in a school. They take turn to be taught, the various subjects, various classes. It's being manned by the military. And the same thing what we have in Bama and so many other IDP camps. But the people are not talking about all these things.
Yeah, don't you think the issue of trust is involved here? What concerted effort are you making, particularly in your office as the office that creates or addresses issues of image of the military? What concerted efforts are you making to address that issue of that trust deficit between the military authorities and the civilian populace? Will it be as a result of what has been happening of late too? Take for instance what happened in Plateau, the one that just happened, and the statement credited to the army commander there that they were overwhelmed. They were able to take some of the people, villagers, to a school, and the moment they left, the people came to the other side to come and attack and kill them and all of that. Those kind of things probably create doubt and lead to this trust deficit between the people.
Well,
and the
first and foremost, maybe we'll start from that. I am so sure it was misquoted, because the truth is that they are doing very wonderfully well, and I don't want to preempt the ongoing investigation in that matter. But given talking about what we have been doing, it is beyond even the Directorate of Army Public Relations. The Nigerian Army, as a corporate entity, has its civil military department headed by a 2-star general. And you know, of recent, part of the reach out, we established even a human rights desk, which has also gone down to formation and going down to unit level. Then we established the information and call center, where you can use the shortcut of 193. At any given time, you can call 24/7 at no cost to you, using any of the network. And we have liaisons. Take, for instance, at the defense headquarters level, we have even a 1-star general who is a liaison officer at the National Assembly. Now we have another 1-star general at the Foreign Affairs Ministry. And we kept on interfacing at the various levels. Given any function, given any event, be it field training exercise, be it operations, be it possibly some of social activities. Take, for instance, the West African social activities, you know, the annual WASA we had. We always interface, and beyond that, we even involve other security agencies in some of our training exercises, like our route marches, sporting activities. So at any given time, we interface with the members of the public. And most importantly, the bridge between the army and the public is the media. We have always carried them along. We have been doing the best we could do, and the response from the public is quite encouraging. And beyond that, at governmental level too, we interface with the relevant agencies. Take, for instance, the Department of Civil Military Affairs is going into partnership with the National Orientation Agency, and we are also in touch with other non-governmental organizations. Take, for instance, the International Committee of Red Cross and the National Nigerian Bar Association, the National Human Rights Commission, and so many others. And that is why we are so concerned about, you know, the perception and the image of the army. We went out of our way to even invite Amnesty International from their London office to come to Army headquarters, where we open our books to them. And there has never been any time where we refuse to answer inquiries, either from the members of the public or from the media, either whether in the country or even outside the country. So we have been doing so much. It's just that sometimes most of the efforts are not being reported, and now we have some elements of mischievous persons within the society who tend to turn things upside down, and we rely on people like you to critically examine such things when they come.
Okay, General Wada, let's talk about, I'd like you to educate us a little bit now about the Nigerian Army Medical Corps. I mean, the image of an average soldier that an average Nigerian will probably have in his mind is that, oh, he wears uniform, he carries gun, he has a horsewhip, and all of that. He's not somebody who can give humanitarian services. So it's therefore a surprise that there's a Nigerian medical corps where you have trained doctors, trained nurses, whose job is to give succor to the needy. Let's start the education.
Nigerian Medical Corps, just like so many other.
How well professional are they, and how reliable are they?
Let me start with even myself here that is sitting before you. I'm a consultant ENT surgeon, ear, nose and throat surgeon. Yes, I'm a fellow of the West African College of Surgeons. I'm a fellow of the National Postgraduate Medical College. I'm a board member of the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria. So those are the kind of specialists that we have in the Nigerian Medical Corps. Nigerian Medical Corps has a team of medical specialists, ranging from surgeons to nurses to ophthalmologists to, as I said, ENT surgeons, and also laboratory technicians, radiologists, and so many of them. We have a lot of these people that work. It's a complete corps. You know, most of our hospitals, we have a tertiary hospital, the teaching hospitals equivalent, that are reference hospital in 44 Nigerian reference hospital. Our hospital in 68 reference hospital in Yaba. Those are Nigerian hospitals that have the status of tertiary institutions. We have other, of course, we have other categories. We have the secondary hospitals at the brigade level. Then we have the primary hospital at the battalion level. So all these things have tiers. So from our battalions, which are the primary level, we treat primary cases. Then going to the secondary, the brigade medical centers and the divisional hospitals. And before cases can also be referred to the tertiary hospitals that I've mentioned. And in all these places, you have team of specialists. And as I said earlier in this discussion, when you go to our hospitals especially, you see a lot of civilians going for treatment. In fact, 60% of people, 60 to 70% of the patients are civilians. In fact, most of them take military hospitals as their hospital of first choice in most situations, especially again, as I said, when you have industrial actions and things like that, strikes. Our hospital behaves of activity. These statistics even rises to up to 90% civilians, and we treat them. Most of them recover. Some of them undergo surgeries and things like that. The same group of people that will now go ahead and start to inject things that are, it's just mischief. Start injecting a fake vaccination. These are professionals.
When you go on medical outreaches,
yes,
what kind of services do you render?
Yes, that's what I say. Part of the services we render include consultations. Yes.
People come.
Yes, people come voluntarily. They come. We have after taking their data, whatever, then they will now go. Their doctors will see them, examine them. The nurses will take their blood pressure to count their pulse rate. They will also go to the lab there that we have, field lab there. They test them if they have some problems before they now go and see the pharmacist that will dispense drugs, or if they need to have some procedures done in the field there, like dental extraction and things like that. Those things are done, or even treatment of ear infections and things like that.
Some of the visuals we show, we've seen your men offer some services like even minor eye surgery.
They do some minor eye surgery and issue prescription glasses free. Those are the services we render, and most times, as I said earlier, those communities are usually appreciative of those efforts. And the Chief of Army has made it a point of that medical outreach should be part of these exercises, because it goes a long way and he spends so much on it. I think it should be praised rather than people raising all these kind of insinuations that are negative and mischievous.
That was why I suggested, or maybe posed the question earlier on, whether it is possible to take the medical outreach and make it a program, a standalone program of its own, that is not mired in any controversy about whether you are coming here to dance with crocodile or you are going to smile with python or whatever.
I think you said it earlier. It's a stick, carrot and stick. You are doing
Is it impossible to just decide at particular points in time, in a year, at a particular places,
military exercises
all you are going with are just carrots?
Even when you do go on military operations, medical is always a component. You can't go to war without medical. You can't do exercises without the medical. Those are part of the things that the army does. So you cannot separate those two things. And moreover, when you try to separate them like that, as far as I'm concerned, you just, if you need to get treated, you can go to the hospital to get treated. But usually we target communities
that are needy.
You go there specifically to help them as the exercise is going on. You also do it like that. So you go to those rural communities that are really in need of those things, and then you
during those outreaches, do you use schools or public places?
Yes, sometimes depends. If we sometimes we use schools. Yes, sometimes we just use open grounds where we use tentages and things like that. Sometimes we even use some medical facilities that are available there. Some medical help.
But during the operation Python dance, you didn't go from school to school.
Never. Once we have located the communities where we want to do the medical outreach, that is where we remain. People now come, the patients come to that particular place to get treated. You can never see them going from one point to the other, or from one school to the other, or from one place to the other to give
just set up a base.
Yes, we just set up a, and that is it.
How to save this very laudable project now is the issue here. Perhaps the military has been too much in conflict with the civil population. How do we reduce? Because those days when we were growing up, the sight of a soldier alone, you rarely see soldiers except you go around barracks. And when you see soldiers on the street, the sight of them alone is something else. But today, soldiers are seen everywhere. I dare say that soldiers are even seen at beer parlors and all of those places. I hope you are not going to ask me to provide evidence of that. What I'm actually saying is that there's too much interaction between soldiers and the civil populace, and it brings conflict, and that in turn has led to this trust issue that I talked about earlier on. How do we address that? Is there a way we can reduce the level of involvement of soldiers in the civil in the polity as a whole?
Well, there is a way.
Tell us.
And the way that security issue is a collective responsibility, and the army comes in as part of the constitutional provisions. You know, when you look at section 217 up to 218, you know, it aids of civil authority, and that aids of civil authority, it could be involvement in dealing with you know, security challenges that emanate from now and then, or it could be disaster management, as the case may be. Now, if you can do that, if you can address issues of insecurity, then of course
if we can address it without the army.
Exactly. So if you can do that, definitely problems will not degenerate to the extent that you call the military in aids of civil authority. I hope you understand. And of course the issue of disaster is nobody can predict it, even though there are, you know, modern technologies that you can predict weather and all the rest of the things. This is the starting point. But what I want people to understand is that we have the best of intentions, and we are carrying out our job professionally and diligently. And for you to say that you should separate, you know, humanitarian activities from, you know, field training exercise, that is the international best practices. It's a standard norm. These issues come about as a result of long-time study and recommendations, not just here in Nigeria, but every other part, other parts of the country, of the world. Yeah. So it's an acceptable thing. Therefore, what's happened, irrespective of the rumor and all the rest, you know it, I know it, and the rest of the society knows that it was the handwork of some mischievous criminal elements. And we should not give in to such things. The overall Nigerian society is wonderful. It's just wonderful. So we shouldn't give in to criminal elements to come and destabilize the laudable relationship that exists and the good work the military is doing. Remember, beyond these humanitarian activities, that we are carrying out, a lot of our soldiers are there in the trenches. You know, some of them had no idea whether they will see tomorrow for the benefit of the Nigerian society. They are the same group of people that are also involved in other field training exercise to the point given the little they could offer in terms of humanitarian activities. So whenever you are thinking, whenever you're doing things, you remember those laudable efforts and sacrifice. You know, some of them had no idea whether they will see tomorrow for the benefit of the Nigerian society. They are the same group of people that are also involved in other field training exercise to the point given the little they could offer in terms of humanitarian activities. So whenever you are thinking, whenever you're doing things, you remember those laudable efforts and sacrifice by the Nigerian military that cannot be quantified in terms of naira and kobo. The criminal elements, they don't have any stake.
Yeah.
They don't have any stake, but we have stake. And you can put name and faces to these people. And coming back again, apart from the fact that we are professional military establishment, every single segment of the corps has professionals within profession. He has just made mention of the medical corps which he commands. And by the way, he is not the commandant, he is the commander of the medical corps.
Okay. Oh, that
commandant usually head training institutions.
Okay, but he is commander.
Commander. Good.
Okay.
Now, take for instance, in the engineer corps, every single officer in the engineer corps must have a minimum of a bachelor's of science degree. And definitely that person must have belonged to a particular professional body. For instance, the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Just like the lawyers we have, that they are members of the Nigerian Bar Association. Just like the medical we have, that they are members of the Nigerian Medical Association of Nigeria. The same thing with the public relations that I led. By the way, I'm even a fellow. So each and every one of these officers is a professional within a profession. Even, I mean, professional and a professional. A military professional and also professional in other endeavors. It could be management, it could be even Historical Society of Nigeria. So you look at these people performing their duties as assigned to them by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Then one miscreant will come and tell you something about them.
Are you investigating the source of the rumor in the first place? Because obviously it didn't start from the media, it started from the social media. And when you talk of social media, you can as well be saying you are talking about 20 million or more people.
Well, possibly,
as long as you are literate enough to be able to use your phone and you have
everybody is a citizen journalist.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe you got carried away. In part of my opening statement, I said, thankfully, the Nigerian Army, in conjunction with other security agencies, are doing the best they could. That any moment from now, the person that started that unfortunate rumor will soon be apprehended. And be rest assured, he will be prosecuted, investigated and prosecuted. And not just the person, and other persons too, using the relevant provisions of the law of the land. So something is being done in respect of that.
Okay. Well, one more issue, because I'm taking this from the series of tweets that I'm just trying to paraphrase, don't want to read them outrightly. During the military operations, okay, the one in Southeast, which sparked off the crisis, the operation Egwekwe 2, are there confirmed reports of soldiers killing defenseless civilians? Because that's what people are saying, that having killed defenseless civilians, the military cannot be trusted in any other thing he wants to do in the Southeast.
I would like the person to tell me where and who are those defenseless civilians.
Is there a kind of report of the successes or otherwise of Operation Egwekwe 2?
A lot of it. Even about 2 or 3 days ago, the Deputy Director of Army Public Relations chronicled the successes. And I believe as events unfold, they have always kept the public abreast of what is going on. Just like what is being done in exercise Crocodile Smile 2 on daily basis. Then on the part of the military for accountability, because the whole essence of the field training exercise is to enhance proficiency. Now, there are ranges of commanders that pay visits to the various locations, be it corps commanders, be it officers, general officers commanding of the various divisions that are being briefed, and even the members of the public, that this is what we have done so far and this is what we are doing. If there is any observation there, and then it will be corrected. But all said and done, like when we were wrapping up exercise Egwekwe 2, which was wrapped up in Umuahia at 14 Brigade area of responsibility. The whole of the exercise was critically examined, the lessons learned and the areas that we should, and it has been passed to the relevant authorities. So whenever we're having other subsequent field training exercises, definitely you will see changes or adjustment as the case may be. And that is why Egweke 2 is better than what we had with exercise Falcon Dance 1. The same thing when we had exercise Harbin Kunama 1, exercise Harbin Kunama 2 was better, to the point that it encompasses more area of coverage as compared to what we had in the south northwest. But this time around we have had some elements or some parts of north central. The same thing with exercise Crocodile Smile 1, now Crocodile Smile 2. Beyond the south-south, we also increase the area of responsibility to include that of 2 Division, 81 Division, and some part of 82 Division also, because it is amphibious in nature. But again, reports are written, lessons are learned, and of course we even have a department of lesson learned. Anything that we do, definitely they will critically evaluate it and recommend. The same thing with the Department of Standard and Evaluation too, at the Army headquarters. So every day we keep the public abreast, and of course we do that. And I would like that person that is making that allegation to please give me date, place, and the persons that were killed.
And you said that there are toll-free lines that you can call.
Exactly, 193. You can call it now.
Okay, 193.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. General, your last comment on the medical outreach. For now, what is the status? Are you putting it on hold in areas where it has not been well received as a result of this rumor, or where you think that the people will still need them and they are yearning for them, you will continue?
I think the Chief of Army Staff has decided to continue. We are not going to, because if we stop this medical audit, it is the populace that loses at the end of the day. Not even the Army, even though the Army is spending so much to carry out these medical outreaches, but in his magnanimity, he has decided that whenever they have exercises like this, these exercises and medical outreaches will continue. And that is what we are going to do. We are going to continue, and we are going, because we are doing that is right, which is right. It's not wrong. Anybody that's bringing anything contrary is just sheer mischief.
Okay.
And it's sinister. Those mischievous are sinister in nature.
General Smile, from the perspective of a public relations practitioner, I'd like you to sum all of this up too. The gains of the medical outreach far outstrip whatever concerns anybody.
Exactly, exactly. Because in 82 division that we have had the Egweke 2, the number of those who benefited from the medical outreach was over 10,000. And the figures are coming in, and I know that in Badag, in Takobe, the figure was over 1,000. Yes. And the same thing with the one that was held in Imo State. So we should not give in to propaganda of mischievous elements who do not mean well for the Nigerian society, because the common good perhaps should be taken into consideration than the perceptions of some people that they are even faceless. And the Nigerian Army has been doing the best it could in terms of not just humanitarian activities, but protecting the territorial integrity of this country.
Okay. All right, maybe General, maybe as a way of advice from here, where the next operation is going to start anyway, maybe what you could do is go on a platform like this, talk about the fact that that operation is coming up, these are the components of the operation, we'll be doing this, this is what this is aimed at achieving, and all of that, so that when that operation is then on, if we see anybody who is doing something contrary to what you have promised, it's easy to easily inform you about them. Would that be okay?
Yeah, very well. We have been doing it. And remember again, up to now, nobody could say which school has any soldier has gone to. Basically, our hands are always open. Remember, before we had we had exercise Egweke, the chief of training and operations had a press conference in Abuja, and of course we kept the public, abreast. And when we launched exercise Crocodile Smile, it was on full glare of the public. The media was represented, traditional rulers and government officials were there. So, and we'll continue to do that.
All right, let's leave it here, because I don't want civilians to be giving instructions to military men, particularly generals, to get out of the studio because we have overrun our time. So let's just do that peacefully now that we still have the time. Thank you so much, generals. I appreciate you finding time to be here. I've been joined in today's discussions by Brigadier General Clifford Wanda, who is the acting commander, Medical Corps. I got it right.
Nigerian Army
Medical Corps. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Brigadier General Sandy Usman, that's the one we see more frequently than the others, is Director of Army Public Relations. Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for investing your time with us. That's Focus Nigeria for today. Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow. My name is Ben Garulima.